Hi, my name is Rena Giftopoulos, and I'm here to talk to you about these graphic design services inclusive quote contract and to give you a little bit more information to help you to submit a bid for this IQC for the City of Boston. This is for a ReStore project. I'm here with my team, myself, Rena Giftopoulos, my colleague, Erin Schleifer. We are the project managers for the ReStore project here at the City of Boston. And we are with our director, Alicia Porcina, who is the director of the Office of Small Business here at the City of Boston in the cabinet of which is the Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion. So the ReStore and Design Services Program is a program that's administered through the City of Boston, through the Office of Small Business. The ReStore program is a grant program. And as part of this, the City of Boston and our Office of Small Business is in part of our work through our neighborhoods and for our businesses, we're regularly conducting assessments and looking at small business owners throughout the city to review and evaluate the condition of their storefronts, their street-facing storefronts, and the exterior buildings that they're in. We want to keep all of the signage and their storefronts in good condition as a way of maintaining the business vitality in our neighborhoods and just as our support for these businesses. As part of this grant program, one of the services that we offer and part of the value that we offer is that for businesses who don't have graphic designers or have not worked with a graphic designer, we offer the services of a graphic designer to the small businesses that are located in these storefront, street-facing storefronts. And just to note, as I'm sure is common with some of your clients, some of these constituents have little to no experience working with graphic designers. So we're looking to you to really guide them through the process of graphic design and helping them to, you're going to design signage for them that works for their business and for them, and you'll coordinate with them, the business owners, possibly the building owners, their landlords, and the City of Boston, and with us. I mean, we'll help guide you through this process also. So the services that we provide as part of the ReStore program, we have design services. We design, or you will be designing signage, and then a signage company will be commissioned to first price the signage and then install the signage. And part of this might be part of a project that involves more than one storefront. So you could see in the photo on the right, this is a larger project that we did, what we would call a facade project that incorporated restoration of the building and changes to all of the signage on the building. The work that you'll be bidding on is just for the graphic design, but it is possible that you'll be coordinating with an architect, and we will have selected the architect in a similar process to the way that we are selecting you through this IQC process. So the goal of this is to solicit competitive quotes from vendors who can provide these graphic design services for existing small business owners located in single-story commercial buildings. Single-story commercial buildings are buildings like this building on the right. I'm sure you see them all over our city and in our neighborhoods. They're a vital part of our retail environment. And so this IQC is you will be designing signage for stores that are in this type of building. We are looking for qualified bids from you for this IQC. I think I said it at the beginning, but IQC is actually an acronym for an inclusive quote contract. It's a little bit different than an RFP. And it just means that you are from a group of invited bidders who have been pre-qualified to supply quotes for this IQC. So now I'm going to talk about what we are looking for. We need qualified bids, and we can only consider a qualified bid. What is a qualified bid? That's a great question. So to be considered qualified, a bid must be responsive and the vendor must be responsible. So to be a responsive bidder, you have to respond to all of the questions on the IQC. You need to make sure that you carefully and completely fill out the entire form that's at the end of the IQC. And you need to meet the minimum requirements that are asked. And to be responsible, you have to have the capability, the integrity, and the reliability to perform the work that's described. So just be sure when you're filling out the IQC that you respond to every question, and then we'll be able to evaluate your responsiveness and your responsibility, and hopefully we will be able to compare you with the other people who are applying to the IQC. Be sure to include relevant experience, at least 3 projects that you've worked on that are of similar or comparable scope and type. Be sure to include the qualifications of all of the people who you plan to have working on the project, including their resumes and relevant work experience that they have, their education, and highlighting any skills or previous experience that might be directly relevant to this work. And also, you have to indicate that you have the capacity to complete the work. So you just need to demonstrate that you have the availability and the staff capacity to manage and complete the total scope of work. So what you're bidding on is the quote that you're providing now is a quote based on an upset total of 15 projects. So it's difficult for us to describe the exact scope of all of the projects because we don't have them yet. But what we are suggesting is that you think about this as the price for 15 projects. So you think of a project, you look at the scope that we've described, you price that as if it was one single project, and let's say that single project you price at $1,000, then the bid that you would give to us is $15,000. And so that is the quote that you would give us for this particular thing. Now, each individual project that you will be asked to work on will have a possibly different scope because they're all a little bit different. And when you are evaluating those projects, if you win this and you get these projects, you will be able to, at that time, evaluate each project individually. So if you've quoted $1,000 per project and we've accepted your quote, and you are handed a project that you think is valued out at $2,000, our office will review that with you and make sure that we agree on that scope, and you'll be paid for that project. We will never ask you to do work that you're not going to be paid for. So if you do end up bidding, let's say, 5 projects that all happen to be very complicated and are $3,000 each, and you spend your entire $15,000, we won't ask you to work on another project. We'll figure out how you can work on the next project in the next calendar year. So please don't think that you'll be working, that you will ever, the city would never ask you to work for free. That being said, by law, we are obliged to consider only qualified bids, and we are obliged to take the lowest of the qualified bids. So we're hoping that you'll be, thinking carefully about how you're bidding this or how you're responding. So here are some examples of signage. These are 4 different projects. You can see they have 4 very different signage responses or signage, answers, and they also have very different scope. So there really is quite a variety in the scope of these types of projects. And here are a few more projects. I mean, the 2 on the sides are actually in multi-story buildings, which you won't be asked to do as part of this IQC, but you can see the variety of the signage. The signage design might include lighting. It might include blade signs and a street sign. In this slide, you can see there might be some lighting, as in the Boston Flower Company, or maybe the sign is on the corner, or maybe it's in the middle of a block. We really just don't know. And here are a few more signs. You can see really the possibilities are endless. It's what you come up with the constituent. So we're, hiring you for your design expertise and the help that you can provide to these constituents. And this is an example of a larger project that we would consider a facade project. This is a project that an architect would be involved in to work on the facade. And this, you can see, involved 3 different stores. So this one in particular was designed all 3 together cohesively, but it's possible that there would be 3 different stores. So that might be part of the work. But this would be a larger project, and say maybe you would evaluate this at the sort of scope of 3 projects. Again, these are 2 more examples of larger facade projects. The top one we saw a little earlier, and you can see that it incorporates, the signage of a few establishments, different, totally discrete establishments. The one on the bottom is all owned by the same person, the Madhouse Cafe and the Madhouse Motors, and they have this Madhouse theme, but 3 very different manifestations of that Madhouse theme. And here you can see a before and after when we are really trying to improve the signage. We don't want Lexan plates with backlit signage, and we've tried to, clean things up and make them look, better or improved, so that to help improve the overall, image of what's happening on the street, of the street frontage. And your project, the project deliverables that you have should definitely include 3D renderings. The scope of the projects are described in the IQC. I'm sure as you've worked with your clients, you realize that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so these types of 3D renderings, whether they're done photographically, you take a photograph and embellish it, or even digitally or with SketchUp or any other 3D rendering modeling software you might have. As we all say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So this is always this is a required element of your deliverable package. So we don't have an opportunity right now for you to ask questions, but if you have questions, you can always reach out to the ReStore team at the email restore@boston.gov. That's restore@boston.gov. And we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to receiving your bid. So thank you very much.